Does that sound? All right, Scavengers, welcome to episode 35 of the Six Scale Scavengers podcast. I'm Bryan, joined as always with my good friends Chris and TC. Guys, episode 35 of the podcast. Got a great show for everybody on Thanksgiving Eve here. We're going to be talking about Hot Toys Luke Skywalker Endor version MMS 516. We're going to talk some news. We got some the Rise of Skywalker figures to talk about. And then we're also going to dive into, we've got a lot of good feedback, guys, about buying and selling tips. So I figured we go back and revisit some of that. And, you know, I think we've got a good show playing here. So, guys, Chris, Thanksgiving. I think this is officially our second time talking about Thanksgiving on the podcast. I don't even know if we had a podcast around it. As you get older, like your memory goes, it just, you can't really keep track of all that stuff. But I mean, I'm thankful to have you guys as friends to be able to podcast with. Obviously thankful for family and friends and being able to have this hobby to collect the stuff, to have people to talk about. I know our live stream is already piling up with some listeners here, and just very thankful.
Oh, absolutely. I've got lots of things to be thankful for. Like you said, I mean, thankful for you guys, thankful for our listeners and everybody in the group and all the good stuff that's come to us this year. We're very fortunate to be able to collect in this area of collecting. So just thankful for the opportunity to talk to everybody. How about you, TC?
Yeah, absolutely. Just an extension of it. Collecting is can be very isolated and solitary. It's an individual thing, but to have a group of friends along with the Facebook group and everybody inside to kind of share the hobby with, it's a great thing. And really kind of just thankful for the explosion of media. So you guys kind of, I think it seems like you guys kind of kicked off a trend. There's a lot more podcasts revolving around Star Wars, Hot Toys, everything related to collecting. And I think it's kind of related to when you guys started. But like you guys said, thankful for family and friends like you guys to talk about the hobby with. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get going, we've already announced it in our Facebook group, but I did want to also, share it here. One thing about being thankful of our community that we have is we also have great members of our community that donate very tangible things. And we have one of our scavengers that, wish to remain anonymous, which, was perfectly fine, but they donated a rather big gift to our admin team and just asked that we basically use it to pay it forward. And, guys, we talked with the rest of the admin team and we felt like the best way to, pay it forward was to, divide it up into multiple people. And what we did is we looked at some of the most active people that we have in our private Facebook group, commenting a lot, posting things. So our five scavengers that won these $20 gift cards, there's 5 of them. I mean, as you can tell, it's a huge gift. Very, very thankful. So in no particular order, we had Dan Lee, the artist formerly known as Gare Bear, Ryan Smith, Chris Benware, and Jason S. Jason, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to attempt to say your last name because I will butcher it. But also thank you to Jason. He just recently picked up one of our TeePublic t-shirts, and we also appreciate our fellow scavengers spreading the word out and representing I guess the brand. It seems weird to say that.
It's a brand. It's a brand. You heard Jason, he calls it a tribe. It kind of is like one. It's a place where like-minded people get together. So
like Han Solo said, Chewbacca has his tribe, his family, and that's what we are, the Scavengers. This is our family, and it's great to have everybody, be a part of the group, and thanks to the Fab Five, as Mark Pearson is calling them. Lots of activity on the group and everything, and it's not to say that, I mean, gosh, I try to post here and there, but they blow me out of the water as far as number of posts and responses and stuff like that. So I am very thankful for their involvement and everybody's.
Yeah, there's a lot more people that post as well. These guys just, they're kind of like almost like the heartbeat, because they just constantly pump activity through the group. So it's nice. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you. So just another quick update. I feel like every show and podcast and multimedia outlet now is kind of having to talk about COPPA, the Child Online Protection, whatever the rest of the thing is. The thing that's basically ruining YouTube, or maybe YouTube's ruining YouTube, who knows? But anyways, our last episode, it was kind of just coming out. We said really nothing was going to change. I still don't feel really strongly about what's going on and if we're impacted. Obviously, we're not monetized. We don't run ads. We are not the ones collecting information. Obviously, this show is directed to adult collectors, not intended for anyone under 13. We're just going to start putting that disclaimer out verbally and also in our about section. And I don't know. It feels weird. As you guys know, I've changed my opinion every other day. Like thinking one day, like, we should delete the YouTube channel. The other time I'm like, no, let's power through. I just want everybody to know, regardless of whatever happens, we're going to try. I know Steve has also put in a ton of time and research and trying to see what the best home for the Scavengers is. Chris, you and I had the opportunity to go to Super Mega Fest a couple weekends ago, and you and I had a kind of like a state of the podcast discussion driving down to Massachusetts and back. But ultimately, really what the future of the podcast holds and all of our video content and stuff, the mission's still kind of the same. It's, we want to be a resource to help new collectors, experienced collectors, and then also not only within our, these live video formats, but then also with like communities like Facebook, is just to provide people the chance to kind of hang out and TC, as you said, kind of not be solitary about collecting, to give people the opportunity to talk to others. I mean, not all of us are lucky enough to have even anybody within like 100-mile radius of us that you can even talk collecting with, or fellow scavenger. I mean, Chris, you and I are pretty lucky to be fairly close. Our buddy Raul, who I had a chance to, I'll give a little bit more of the story later on, but I had a chance to meet up with him last Friday, and we had like a 2-hour conversation just about collecting. It was fantastic. I know you guys are jealous. I don't know. I think we're just gonna, worst case scenario, we would still always have the audio version of this, but I have personally really preferred this live interaction, the non-editing, just the live take, having the video, being able to see your guys' expressions. We can make fun of Chris all we want here. And I don't know. So There's a lot of stuff that can come into play in January. I know we've been reaching out to like our good friends like PJ, the Paradox Nerd, and I don't think really anybody really knows what they're going on. But ultimately, at the end of the day, this is geared towards adults. Our source material could be appealing to kids, and that's where I guess I've been a little concerned. Obviously, we're talking about Star Wars and Marvel. We're talking about science fiction, and we're talking about comic book characters and whatnot. So I don't know. We'll see. We don't know what the future is going to hold, but at least for now, at least through the end of 2019, we're going to keep doing what we've been doing.
Yeah, man, kids don't like this stuff. They're up for the electronics and the iPhones, that kind of thing these days.
Yeah, they don't want to look at 3 close to middle-aged guys talking to microphones. So
at least my son knows my podcast.
Does he listen?
No, he doesn't.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I don't know.
I force the girls to listen to every once in a while. And then they're like, Daddy, can we listen to Kids Bop? And I'm like, no. Okay.
Baby shark.
Yeah, baby shark.
So I quick shout out to, I know we are broadcasting live to YouTube. We're actually for the first time also broadcasting to our public Facebook page, Six Scale Scavengers. So we'll see how that goes. Ultimately, that was where I thought we might end up, was Facebook. But I mean, whether it's Google, YouTube, Facebook, they're all evil. It's just finding the least evil of all of them so that we could talk to you guys about toys and collecting here. But anyways, more to come. But all right, let's shift gears, guys. Let's go over to news. And
what's our feature figure review?
I already talked about it. It's Luke Skywalker Endor. You weren't even listening at the beginning.
No, I wasn't.
No, I actually did talk about it this time for once. Okay. So, but let's talk news. Let's talk Kylo Ren. MMS 560 going to retail for $251. Guys, we're going to have to wait until April 2021. We're talking a year and a half out on this one, which I guess isn't really that far. I guess when you just see the year 2021, it feels so far away because we're still in 2019. But it wasn't too surprising, TC, to start getting some Rise of Skywalker figures. We'll talk about the other one already unveiled in a little bit here. But any thoughts overall about Kylo? And I just will also say, though, too, and I think I speak for all of us here, especially with these figures, so far out, and the trends that have gone on with Star Wars figures now, and a lot of stuff sitting in stock. I don't think any scavenger, unless you're absolutely dying to make sure that you can secure these figures, TC, I don't see any reason to pre-order either of these. TC, I think you might be on mute.
My bad. Sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, you don't need to pre-order this figure. It comes out in 2021. Really, you have until about 2023 before you actually need to buy this thing. By then, you might get $20 off and free shipping, and feel pretty good about your purchase, because in our little trio right here, we feel like we've been spurned a couple times on some recent Star Wars purchases. But great work by the Hot Toys team. The figure, the facial expression looks spot on. It's Kylo Ren's an easy one to get out early because it's not going to spoil anything. Same with Rey, which we'll talk about in a minute. But
I think the sculpt is fantastic.
It is really good.
I think I owned the Last Jedi version for like a week before I sold it to our buddy Mark. But this one is, I don't know, it seems a little sharper. The hair is kind of a little bit more slick back. He looks more like a weasel. Guys, this is what I think is fascinating about this figure to me is it looks like he may have reassembled his helmet, or he went for an entirely new design. It looks like he's got little, red Sith marks and stuff. I've always really liked the design of Kylo Ren, as a character and just as a villain, and especially when we only got The Force Awakens. I mean, he was such a wild card. He was kind of a little terrifying as a character just because he was such a loose cannon. And we saw that a little bit more in The Last Jedi. So who knows what we're going to get here. But, we see him here with some of the Sith troopers. As we've seen in the trailer, Chris, it looks like the window from Death Star 2, the throne room. This is a scene we've seen on some of the trailers on, like, in that forest that's kind of on fire. Something weird about how they're displaying this figure, though, Chris, is it looks like he's kind of got like the reverse handling of the lightsaber here, kind of a la Ahsoka, which seems very dangerous given the fact that he has a cross guard on his lightsaber. Especially you can see this here. I mean, it looks like he's ready to singe his own wrist off.
He's gonna cut his hand off. It's interesting. They're definitely emphasizing that. Like, look at that move. I don't know. It's more questions. What is the deal with that? Is it something that is that a fighting style he just implements without any explanation and that sort of thing? So I don't know. More questions. To me, the figure looks pretty cool. I too like the aesthetic of Kylo Ren. The head sculpt, Adam Driver, you know who it is, and I do think it's a little bit better than the Last Jedi one, but it's more so about that helmet. That helmet just looks pretty cool with the the red markings on it and stuff.
Yeah, TC, like the scar looks like obviously it's healed a little bit more. The other thing is, TC, is it looks like it's exactly the same outfit that he's got for the Last Jedi one. The only difference that I can see with this figure is the helmet and the different head sculpt. Other than that,
Yeah,
if you already had the Last Jedi one, unless like this helmet is such a big part of the plot of the Rise of Skywalker, like this could easily be a pass if you already have the Episode 8 one.
Yeah, if you have Episode 8, hold it and maybe sell it to get done the Episode 9. If you don't have Episode 8 yet, wait for this guy, Episode 9, because it does look like a little bit of an improvement. But I mean, I don't know. I need to see the movie first before I can really make a judgment. I'm not the biggest Kylo fan, as I said on the Assemble. I'm not a fan of his personality. I don't know. It just seemed very whiny to me in the Episode 7. So I just can't deal with it. So I'm going to pass for now.
You also weren't the biggest Anakin fan either, so
also not a big Anakin fan. I'm a Vader fan though. I do like Vader.
That's all right. Yeah. All right, guys, let's switch over to talk about Rey and Chris. Is it Dio? Is how we're pronouncing her droid? All right, so this is a 2-pack. The cost is not quite too prohibitive, $243. I think the original Jakku Rey with BB-8, I think it was $289. Obviously, you can get still that really good deal on Big Bad Toy Store. I keep checking it; it's still in stock. We didn't liquidate all of it with our preemptive pickups of knowing that Yoast was going to potentially make her speeder. But TC, I just absolutely adore this look on Rey. I mean, if you don't have a Rey yet, this is the Rey to get. I mean, obviously you're going to want to wear like gloves when you're handling her because of the pure white outfit. But like this to me screams like this is like the white Jedi garb. It still kind of has her roots from Jakku with her robes and stuff. I just love the way that it all comes together. The hood, here's a shot with her with her backpack. I am not going to pre-order this because I don't think you need to, but I can't wait to get this figure.
Yeah, the tailoring on this is really, really fantastic. People are concerned about the arms because they're not jointed. They're those like synthetic rubber type arms that you get on Thor and that we got on Shuri and Gamora and several other figures. But like you said, if you don't have a Rey, I'd suggest waiting on this one because I think the impact of the character is going to be the greatest. The Last Jedi Rey is very good. I don't have it. I know, Brian, you've had that figure. And I do like that one because of the way the wraps cover the arms. But, this is her final look. So unless we get another one from the movie, this one seems to be the one to get. The one from The Force Awakens is now going on 3.5 to 4 years still in stock. So I don't know if you have to pre-order this one, but it will be one to target in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. She's a must-have down the line. The two of them fighting, the white and black, suits or outfits and stuff. I mean, there's no symbolism there or anything. But I just think they look great together. But yeah, she's, I think, it's just a cool look. We will see if she has if there's another potential version of her come December, 20th or whatever it is. But yeah, it's cool. You get a little Dio figure. But yeah, I'm down. The head sculpt, I know a lot of people were not that crazy about it. It's close. It's not 100%. I don't know what it is about Daisy's face.
It's not this elongated. It's not this tall. It's like this elongated. Yeah. This figure, it's too elongated in the face.
she kind of, from a distance, it kind of looks like Evangeline Lilly to me. But when it gets up close, I don't know. It's definitely it's gonna be in the collection. But that Mark is a funny guy.
Getting a comment on the screen here. Mark Pearson, Chris Letty's mustache and beard.
We have
have
a
its own
fourth
social
co-host
media
tonight.
page.
Yeah, we have a fourth co-host tonight. We actually have Chris's beard.
Yeah. I'll just turn off my mic and turn on the beard's mic. Probably speak a lot better than me. So, anyway, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. I know I work hard. There's a lot of.
It's got a little
spent.
monopoly, man, and like kind of going on there.
Oh yeah, yeah. My wife hates it.
Pass go and collect $200.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Monopoly guy.
Just need my top hat, my cane.
That is a Halloween idea for next year.
Oh yeah, I should do it.
All right, just a couple other quick hitter things. I do want to get into our collection update and the topic here. TC, it looks like we've got the Mark 7 shipping notices coming out. Obviously, it dropped in Hong Kong about a month ago, or maybe a little bit more. So we're starting to look at that. I know there's the two different versions, TC, on Sideshow. There was the collector's edition and the exclusive. It looks like the exclusive is the one that's coming out a little bit later. I think my email said my final payment is on December 3rd. Mm-hmm. So, within the range, I think initially this one was supposed to drop. The Sideshow said between October and December. They're right on the tail end of that. I know we're all really looking forward to getting that. I think as soon as we all have it in hand, it's definitely going to be a feature figure review for us, without a doubt. Yeah. It's a beast.
Yeah. So yeah, they had two versions, like Bryan said. Collector's edition, for those that don't know, just means regular. It's just Sideshow's fancy name. The exclusive has a little kind of small trinket type thing showing the pod mode. It's like a blue hologram type item, and that is what Bryan's talking about. It's going to ship early December. The collector's edition's actually already shipped from Sideshow, or shipping like today.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, people have already been charged for that. So yeah, it's imminent. So if you have that one, would be worth pre-ordering, because I've gone on the websites, all the smaller stores like your Alter Ego, your Time Walker, Big Bad Toy Store, a couple of others. Sideshow is really the only one that has it in stock, so it'd be worth kind of probably wanting to pre-order that, even though they're going to make a ton of them. That one's not one to wait on, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out. We have Jenkin Wong tuning in live, figure collecting for dummy. Really love his content. Great part of the community. All right, guys. Some other Hong Kong releases. Speaking of a Jenkin, we've got the Spider-Man negative suit already dropped. Also, the Neon Tech War Machine. So obviously, these ones were, I hate to use the term repaint, but it's kind of what they were. So those didn't really have long lead up times at all. I mean, we were just talking about these within the last episode or two. So we'll start to see those probably hit Sideshow within a few months. I haven't seen it. Didn't really get a whole lot of pub, I should say. I know the Secret Base Facebook page had the photos of them dropping, but I didn't see anything on like social media where they hyped up a lot of like the blogger photos like they normally do. It just kind of, if you didn't really know and check Facebook, you probably wouldn't know that they're already out in Hong Kong.
Yeah, it was a strange drop. I mean, you see those pictures of the delivery boxes at Secret Base, and everybody's like, "Oh, what are they? What are they?" And it's like negative suit Spider-Man and Neon Tech War Machine. And I know people are excited for those. And they look like great figures, but it was just, they just got released, announced for pre-order and stuff, very recently. So, it is interesting to see them leapfrog a lot of figures that kind of keep getting pushed back. We're getting the October to December window for predictions of figures being released is getting tighter, and more and more figures that were in that window have not been released. So it's hopefully hopefully, we get some in December, but I have a feeling a lot of that stuff is probably going to get pushed back at least into January. I'd think, but who knows?
I think you gain some insight on the production times for these figures, because unless Hot Toys was producing these months in advance before they even announced it, you got to think that maybe the production time was, a month or two at the most for these figures. So, it shows what Hot Toys can do. They can turn around a figure pretty quickly.
Especially if there's no face sculpt.
Yeah, that's the big
face
thing,
sculpt, but they already have obviously all the molding and all the pieces were already, there for the War Machine. And they, like you said, they already made the advanced suit. But also, clearly they have enough data to understand what the production run should be. They're not waiting for pre-orders anymore. So it's another reason why, in my opinion, you don't need to jump on the pre-orders. You don't need to secure a pre-order, fearing that they're not going to make enough of a figure that it's going to be gone from all the retailers by the time it releases. Those days are long gone, with the exception of a short few figures. So
yeah, maybe some con exclusives and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys. Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader finally went waitlist. That had been available for quite a while. I think about a year, right? Maybe not quite that long, but that is obviously you can still jump on the waitlist. There was a pretty good deal, at least for Spooktacular, where they had free shipping. And so I don't know. I think I think a couple of our scavengers were a little bummed that already went waitlist. And I think it's one of those things you kind of play the game of chicken. Is the figure going to still be there or not? And the more that it sits there, I mean, you can kind of wait and see if they're going to have a deal or not. But sometimes if it's those usually only happen with more of some of the obscure characters or the characters that just don't really resonate with people from a movie. But I mean, it's Darth freaking Vader. I mean, he's one of the most popular villains of all time. It was only inevitable that he was going to sell out.
Yeah, sell out just in time for an announcement of Return of the Jedi.
Oh, nice. That would be sweet.
I would be all over that, my friend.
Yep.
Speaking of Sideshow, they've been kind of... we've been the beneficiaries of a lot of the $25 codes that they're giving out if you order things. I've been getting codes when I order things, and I haven't been ordering things, so I think they're just sending them out to people. I think we've all figured out that the bummer about that is you can't use them for pre-orders anymore. So unless there's any figures you really want that are in stock, and I think, TC, that's kind of the crux of the whole thing, is it has to be an in-stock figure. So maybe it's enough to people to push people over the edge to maybe get something that they hadn't or not. I still have a couple. I keep letting them expire. I keep thinking like, geez, I got to make good use of this. But the fact that they keep coming, TC, it just makes them less valuable, in my opinion.
Yeah, because another one's coming right down the pike. Yeah, I mean, I haven't used one in a long time. I guess I used a lot for the pre-orders, like you said, for endgame figures.
Yeah. And
since then, I don't need a pre-order anymore. And then also I don't really need anything in stock. It's not the largest of selections. So I just kind of let mine expire. I haven't even really gotten any. So Bryan, you must be one of the lucky ones.
No, I've been getting them. I just had one expire. I had one expire, and I'm just like, I can't. There's a couple there's figures on my wish list, but you can't combine it with a figure that already has a discount code on it.
Yeah, that's the thing right there.
So, you're kind of weighing your options and stuff like that. But it is cool to combine with your rewards on a figure. So that really, depending on how many rewards you have and stuff, you could, get an even better deal. But yeah, I mean, speaking of rewards points, man, Sideshow is just dealing.
Yeah,
dealing codes, man.
Geeksgiving, Chris, has been far greater than I thought it would be. We haven't even really recapped Spooktacular all that much. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we did, but man, they're giving out. I don't think I've even seen many $1 codes. A lot of them have been at least $2, some $3. I don't think we've seen any $5 yet, but maybe tomorrow or maybe late tonight. If there's been any since we've started recording in the last 30 minutes, we're gonna miss out on as Chris checks his phone.
I haven't seen any.
We shout them out often. John Martino, his group Tashi Station, is an invaluable resource to stay on top of these things. Our scavengers thank us for sharing the codes when we get them. I have to give all the credit to John and his admin team, because that's where we're getting the information. So they have people that are following the social media accounts for Sideshow. I mean, the work that people do in that community, it's a much larger community than the scavenger community. And, if you're not part of it, definitely jump in there, because, John, he has great reviews out there. I don't know. I haven't spoken to him. I don't know what his plan is for the whole YouTube COPPA thing, but regardless, their Facebook group is also very, very active. And I hate to say we're stealing their thunder, because we're trying not to. That's why I want to make sure I give John and his admin team all the credit we can.
Yeah, they do. Like you said, they do a great job getting those codes up as soon as they drop. So that way you have at least some reaction time, because most of the time I think it's 5 minutes you've got. Maybe
it's been 5 or 10. Yeah.
On
I feel like Geeksgiving's been about 10.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have Sideshow's rewards code page, as a bookmark on my phone. And as soon as I see it, I just copy the code and drop it right in. Though I would say, I don't know if it's just me, but Sideshow's website, when I go to put that in, man, it takes forever to load. And I'm like, come on.
I'm pretty sure they're running on your Gerbil network.
Yeah, seriously,
in your basement.
I had to reset that right when we were starting. But no, it's been very successful. I've only missed one $2 code for Geeksgiving, and I think I have, gosh, I don't know, 20. I've gotten like $25 already so far, maybe, or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been very, very rewarding, and it's nice because there's some figures that I want that this is going to go towards helping that cause. So I have to give props to Sideshow. Their website may not be the best, but they're very generous. It seems like they're being more generous this year than before. And
as we'll talk about it with our topic, I think it's important to, as Steve coined the phrase, ABS or ABS, always be scavenging. You got to keep your options open. You can get a lot of good deals by not just using one website and whatnot. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, Bryan, real quick before we go on, I just want to give an update. If you want Infinity War Thor, the re-release, that's shipping now as well. And also Big Bad Toy Store seems to have purchased extra stock from Sideshow on several of their figures. So if you're a Big Bad Toy Store loyalist, they have some pre-orders going up.
Good tip. All right, guys, let's shift gears. We'll head over to our collection update. And I usually start with Chris. So TC, I'll let you have first honors here.
Okay. Appreciate that. No, mine's pretty short this week. I purchased Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker, and I have a couple of them. I just really like the figure, and I had a bunch of rewards. That figure's $20 off, and you get free shipping. I had like over $100 in rewards, so I ended up purchasing that one for a really steep discount. And so now I got the throne room look. I've got the sail barge look, and then I have the Jabba's Palace look. So got all three, and I really like that figure. And I'm continually trying to sell my concept figures, Concept Captain America and Concept Iron Man. Unfortunately, I was being a complete noob and amateur when I listed the Iron Man figure. I noticed the watch count after a week was up to like 50, which is really high, and then the view count was almost 1,000 views by the end of the listing. I was shocked why that was the case. Well, the last person that bid and won the auction, I think they resided in Spain, Portugal, somewhere. All of a sudden I get a message, customs fees, $50, crazy, seller, you're mad. I don't want the figure, cancel it. So I just said, all right, I'm canceling it. So I canceled the figure and I relisted it, restricting it to US only, which I usually do. but I didn't do last time. So I'm in the middle of selling a couple things, but that's all I have.
That's like literally the same exact story I had with my Mark II. Like the guy was in Spain and he's like giving me crap about, having to do a runaround and stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And then
where it resides. It tells you in the listing. It's in the United States. How's it shipping? We're
pulling a Zach from Collecting Weeklies. What grinds my gears, man. It's like these eBay shenanigans. It's so all right. Well, hopefully, all that stuff sells and you can use those funds.
Round 4.
Man. It sucks, but
less lessons learned for us. So hopefully our listeners can learn from our mishaps.
Yeah, we're the guinea pigs.
We are the guinea pigs, and we're the ones with the microphones talking about it. So,
we are.
All right, Chris, what do you got?
Like TC, pretty quiet, but I did pick up a few figures. I got Dooku from Amazon, actually. Price was really good, and I had a bunch of rewards on Amazon that I used towards that, so got him for a really good deal. I know a lot of people are kind of playing the waiting game for him with him on Sideshow, hoping to get maybe a free shipping deal or something like that. I hope that happens for you guys. But I have yet to unbox it. And then I got Darkside Anakin, and I'm a fan of Anakin. I'm more so a fan of the Clone Wars Anakin than live action Anakin. But I think he's essential figure to go with to pair up with this guy right here, Obi-Wan. So I'm hoping to get that set up someday. And then I also got, what did I get? Oh yeah, I got Create Luke because, well, I wasn't planning on getting him, but thank you, Rogue 1/6, for discussing that figure and convinced me to get it. It looks great, and he'll be paired with The Last Jedi Kylo Ren. Initially, I had kind of planned on having Kylo with some First Order troopers or something like that, but I think Create Luke and Kylo would look great together, like they had in the promo images. So that's pretty much it for me. I got some stuff on the way. We'll talk about that next episode, and then again, saving up my rewards and kind of seeing how things play out with, some of these deals and stuff like that. I, always filling up that wish list on Sideshow and looking around all the different sites and stuff like that. So that's me. How about you, Bryan?
So I haven't been as busy as I have been with my crazy Rogue One-ness, but so I've been going back, trying to find stuff, Shore Trooper collectibles. I have a Shore Trooper focus. Chris, like you have the Rebel Commando from Return of the Jedi. So I try and hunt, and I thought like I had everything until I started looking on eBay and international sellers and stuff, and found out that no, I do not have everything. So I started looking, and a lot of this stuff is not really as expensive as a Hot Toy. So a lot of them I've been going through in the last couple weeks, getting things from eBay, actually having the reverse. Well, actually not as good a luck with international sellers, but I've gotten some things from France, from Spain, from Germany. I got a Dia Agostini Shore Trooper helmet that came like the stand smashed off. I reached out to the individual he was in Germany, and I sent a message in both English and in German just to make sure. But he actually offered to send another one out without any additional cost to me, because he's like, wow, that's never happened. But I kind of did put it in the message. He put it in a really flimsy box that wasn't really have any structure to it and no padding inside, and she sent it across the Atlantic from Germany to the United States. And but anyways, so TC, you were joking that I have like the world's smallest short trooper, so I found it's not even going to come into focus. It's the Star Wars Microforce from Hasbro. I didn't even know that they made a short trooper until I started looking on eBay. So a couple other things. I got a D'Agostini short trooper bust. There's a couple Ben, I can't even read it across the room here, but just kind of going crazy with that stuff, and really having fun. And guys, one thing that I've been hunting ever since it released, and we know how quickly things with Anovos sell out really quickly. I think the Mandalorian helmet is already it hasn't even dropped yet, and the pre-orders are all sold out everywhere. Big Bad Toy Store, Anovos' website. One thing I've always wanted, and I hate to use the term grail piece, but I feel like the Short Trooper helmet was a grail piece for me. I couldn't swing it when it first dropped, and it only just went up in cost afterwards from the original retail price. At the time, there's just no way I was going to swing it. It's far greater than several Hot Toys, and I just resigned myself to never getting it. And then TC, I know you talked a little bit about it on the Assemble with Steve, but we found a seller on eBay that looked like he was kind of liquidating his entire collection. And you could tell because he kept having like this red background with everything, and he had helmets and figures, and it looked like every couple days he was putting more stuff out. So I did eBay save searches. If you don't use them, Scavengers, make sure you do. And keep them actually really basic, because people have a tendency to spell things wrong. But I just have like just Short Trooper and everything that pops up, and it was a helmet, and the price, it was used and displayed, and it was more than retail. So it's like, all right, I'll watch it. Week goes by, doesn't sell. Another week goes by, doesn't sell, and the price keeps dropping a little bit, and it gets to the point where I think it was $5.99, and then they were accepting offers, so I went 100 under that. And then he countered for $5.25. With shipping was on top of that, but it's far less than retail. So I sold to accompany this cost that I didn't think I was have. I actually had two figures on the way that before I even opened them, decided to sell them so that I could, keep my budget in line and not completely nuke it, because I just had this golden opportunity to get something I've wanted for a while. So I had decided initially that I wanted a Darth Vader from every movie that he was in. I had Rogue One already. I wanted the Darth Vader and Tarkin set from A New Hope. And then I had, before it went on waitlist, the Darth Vader from Empire Strikes Back. So before I even had them, I secured deals with Scavengers, some of our Scavengers to purchase those. And what I did is the Empire Strikes Back one, got it for a screaming deal because of coupon code and a bunch of rewards. And I sold it to Chris in our group for far less than retail shipped. And then I sold the Tarkin set. I had used store credit from Big Bad Toy Store, sold that for far under retail shipped to Ming in our group. And those guys got screaming deals, but I needed the funds to get to go with this Short Trooper helmet. So I have it displayed. It's amazing. I don't think I can go down the rabbit hole with other Anovo stuff. I know we're obviously a 6-scale podcast here, but just having the Short Trooper focus, I just, I really love it. I did try it on. I have a big melon, and it says it fits up to like size 8, and you kind of have to like shimmy it on. My wife was making fun of me when I had it on, and I'd rather just keep it displayed.
Dude, you got me looking at Anovus's website, and I'm like, man,
don't do it. No, don't do it.
I'm like, I looked and I started seeing the prices, and I'm like, okay, this is not a good idea. I'll just close this website down and move on. But I mean, I know people have differing opinions on the company itself, but the stuff really displays awesome. I mean, I don't know if you start picking it apart. I don't really know too much about what people's real issues are with them. I mean, price is one thing. I mean, everything's ridiculously expensive. But they look cool in a display as like a centerpiece or something to add 1-to-1 scale to complement your figure and stuff like that. So
the Mandalorian figure looks, not figure, wow. Helmet looks amazing.
Yeah. I was talking, Chris, while we were at Super MegaCon, we obviously ran into Joe and Chris from Brews and Blasters, Chris, the Collector's Hut. We also ran into Bill from Dork Lair. It was great to hang out with those guys. I should have said it when we were talking about the opening, talking about Super Mega Fest, but I was talking to Chris, the Collector's Hut, about Anovos and just the nightmare that people go through with them. So the fact that I didn't have to go through all that pre-order nightmare, and he had a helmet that he was waiting on for like well over a year, and they kept giving him the runaround. So it's more of like, once it's actually produced and out for sale, it's probably the better time to secure them versus the pre-order process. But yeah, like you said, EFX does some really good stuff too. It's just, you have to really commit to like that type of collecting, and I prefer the Hot Toys stuff, but I have the Shore Trooper focus, so I really wanted it.
Do you have to pay up front when you pre-order?
A good chunk of it, yeah. So like the pre-order for the Mandalorian helmet on Big Bad Toy Store was pretty significant. I think like a quarter of the price. And I think if you order directly from Anovos, I think they might even require you to pay in full. And I think that's why people have the issue that they do with them.
Yeah, makes sense.
So a couple other things, not as crazy as it's been. I had alluded to it last podcast. I didn't want to jinx it because this figure was coming from Tim Cent, but I did get the Cheer Deluxe. And that was the last Rogue One figure that I needed. I now have the entire line completed, sans Director Krennic, and TC's giving me the silent clap.
Yeah,
so
very nice.
We'll give you a little
very
more
nice. Congratulations.
So 4, 7, 11, 15 figures of them. Some of those are duplicate stormtroopers and stuff, some of the Jedi Patrol stuff. And it takes up an entire DTOF, and it is just as amazing as it sounds.
Glorious
I was glad to have Chirrut back. I think when I owned him before, I just had the standard version. So this was the Deluxe. It came in good shape. As I was talking to you guys earlier, this figure also, I forgot, had some neck staining issues because of the color. For some reason, Hot Toys, whenever they dye fabric blue, Captain America also has the same issue, like around the neck. And TC, I was explaining to you earlier, and it was hard. Now I can do it verbally instead of text, but like right where your like Adam's apple is, there's a kind of like a blue spot. And it's like, I know that it's there. I'm trying not to focus on it. It's in the back of the DTOF. You can't really see it, so I'm just kind of going la la la. It's not really there, but and I don't dare try to fix it myself because I feel like I would make it worse. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've really royally screwed up, and obviously it's a figure that you can't. It's hard to find now for a good price because it's obviously out of stock. Obviously, we're going to talk about Endor Luke. So as we'll talk about TC in a little bit, it can be really beneficial to start tracking some of the new Star Wars releases overseas and sellers like Tim Cent, and just see. He had lowered his price on basically like the day one issue to less than what it cost to order it from Sideshow. And then, as I'll talk about it, also getting the chance to get 10% back eBay bucks on paying for that price also made it enticing. So I went ahead and canceled my pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store. I did not lose an NRD on that one, even though you like to have that meme with me getting rid of those. But so we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then finally, the only reason this is taking long because I don't tell stories well, and it takes a long time to get to the point. But I mentioned I did have a chance to have dinner with Raul last Friday. We talked collecting for about 2 hours, a lot of good conversation. But one of the reasons why we did want to meet up is we actually did a trade in person. So I had been kind of casually looking for Emperor Palpatine. I didn't want the one with the throne room, just because, not that I don't like the throne room, the throne, excuse me. It would be really hard to display, and it would take up a lot of valuable real estate. So I'd been kind of hunting for the standard one, and it really wasn't just that available for a decent price. And Raul was going through and changing some of his collection around, and he said he was going to be probably selling that. And I said, hey, and he's also like, hey, I'm looking for some trades. So I ended up trading him my Rey, The Last Jedi, for Emperor Palpatine in person. So I think it was like one of those win-win. We had a really good discussion about making sure like his kids had a role model like Rey, who, display. And actually the funny thing is he was changing a lot of his collection around from being like a lot of villains and horror type stuff to more positive role models and stuff. So I actually really commend him for that. I wouldn't even think like that in depth about that in the kind of the impact that, it could have on young children. So that was great.
Poor Ben, his idol has to be Palpatine.
The figure that TC, it's funny because so my son is 8 and he comes in and he knows that these are the looking toys, but he always looks up to the very top and he sees Danos. And because he sees me, because I talk about all the time about like buying and selling figures and stuff. He's like, oh, what are you getting rid of? Don't get rid of that. He goes, you're never gonna sell Thanos, are you? I'm like, nope. That
Mad Titan, man.
The Mad Titan. That's one of his favorite characters.
That's great. That's great. No, I think about buying some figures for the girls eventually, but I know that they couldn't just sit up on the shelf. They would end up in the bin with all the other figures. So, yeah, they're like
that Sideshow commercial where the guy's seeing his kids play out in the sandbox.
Yeah, just like going to town with those figures and stuff. Yeah.
That Winnie the Pooh figure could be a bin figure. It's fluffy. It won't get damaged.
That's if they ever release that. I hope they do.
That's no, I don't know. We'll see. That's money that could be going towards college funds and stuff like that.
Much wiser.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's switch gears, guys. Let's talk about kind of just, we didn't really have anything per se, but I feel like we could have said more the last time out about just some more buying and selling tips. And obviously we don't have all the answers. We're making mistakes, just like hopefully not the rest of you are, but hopefully you can see that as we're transparent here, you obviously can see we can't just go buy any figure that we want to. There's usually some really hard decisions and stuff, but the new catchphrase that we all have, it's changed. The dopo, I feel like people have not really done that as much just because it isn't as advantageous to do that. I know Roy came up with their action figures, not dolls. I think the new one Steve coined, ABS, always be scavenging. And I think as our name suggests, you have to keep your options open. You never know when a good deal is going to come around. You never know when one of your friends is going to tag you to say, hey, I know you've been looking for this, but this guy's selling it and it's a good price. Our buddy Mark was ecstatic that he recently was able to pick up the A New Hope Princess Leia. He'd been hunting that for a while, and we were able to help him out with that. And
kind of going off that, it's funny. One of our listeners, Ralph, he messaged me and was like, "Hey, that trooper that you were talking about the other episode when you saw it in person, like, do you think that that might be available from the shop or whatever?" And I'm like, oh yeah, they told me like if I know anybody, they ship and all that stuff, and I had taken extra pictures of it, so I sent all that stuff to him, and he reached out to the shop, Kamikaze in Somerville, Mass, and he's already got it. He just posted in the group today that it's one of the figures he picked up, and it was the Jedha Patrol trooper with the orange pauldron and the pack and stuff, but it was part of a 2-pack. And it's crazy how, some of these shops and stuff, they have the figures and they don't really market them. I mean, that figure was buried in the back of a display case of 6-scale figures. It had probably 8 Sideshow clone troopers in front of it, and then it's just like I couldn't even, I was like looking around and stuff, trying to see the price, and it is really interesting, the stuff that's out there. I mean, Jedha Patrol, he just messaged us saying that he had a shop fairly local to him that was buy two get two free of anything in the shop, and it was 3 hours away for him, but they had Hot Toys, and it's like it's worth it if they've got a fair selection and they're doing a deal like that. You've got to, if you want to be in this area of collecting and you don't want to break the bank, you've got to keep an eye out for a lot of this stuff, especially around this time of year. There's just shops are, begging for business, and I don't know. We are lucky in the Northeast. There are a lot of shops that have, new and used Hot Toys. It's just, whether or not you want to drive a little ways. But it's just, it's great to, to come across that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I wanted to, and I was kind of inspired, I messaged you guys right after I was chatting with Raul and saying, like, I feel like there's more we could talk about with this topic. And he's not very shy about changing his collection around often. I commend him for that. We actually talked about that. Like sometimes like your interests change and whatnot, and motivations and whatnot. But one thing that always struck me is every time I'd see him post something, I was like, geez, like I feel like he could get more for that figure. And I just flat out asked him, I'm like, so, I'm like, what's going on with that? Because I'm like, he was looking to sell his Rogue One Darth Vader, and it was like maybe $100 less than I had paid. And I was like, geez, like, I feel like he could have got more. And he kind of explained it. And then as we talked about it a little bit more, it made a little bit more sense, because like it can look like and we talk about, even especially amongst our friends and fellow scavengers, like we're not looking to extract all the money out of anybody else. Like we want to, there's other things that are more important. Like it's not always getting about the best deal, but like sometimes like market value and stuff kind of comes in. We're talking to, Joe and Chris from Brews and Blasters, great Star Wars podcast, by the way. Give them a quick plug, just like Dork Lair and Bill. But it's funny because like as like we're in this echo chamber, Chris, that we have gradually picked up all this experience and knowledge about collecting, and we have to remind ourselves that we probably know more than the average person or the average collector. And then sometimes like that information can be advantageous, and sometimes it can be detrimental because sometimes you overthink it. Long story short, because I'm just horrible at telling stories this episode,
No,
is, he's was talking about taking some, economics master's classes and stuff about, time value, money and all that other stuff. Like sometimes like he's might be selling for less than he could get for, but he's factoring in the cost of enjoyment for having it during that time period. We get so caught up in air quotes, like not losing money or making sure we at least get back what we paid for it. But it was this aha moment for me that like, it was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. Not saying that you should just automatically lose money at everything you do, but sometimes you have to factor in that, yes, you did own it for a period of time and you were able to enjoy it. And he factors that into some of his pricing. Now, what that also does, Gare Bear, artist formerly known as Gare Bear, does the same thing too. And he talks about passing blessings on to others. And I certainly commend him for that. It works well. The thing is, if you're, and I don't really say somebody's a jerk for trying to like get far more than like market value for a figure, but it's more likely to sit there and not sell when you see something and it's like this screaming deal and people jump right on it. TC, you got to entice people to want to get it. If you make the decision you're going to move a figure, and it's not just because your significant other says, hey, you need to sell these, and then you overprice them, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I tried to sell them, but I couldn't, just making like, see, look at my phone, I did make the attempt to sell them. I think you got to create situations where you want to entice people to, if you make the decision, TC, like you're going to sell something, like sometimes you got to fabricate the situations where people are going to say like, oh yeah, that's a good deal, I'm going to jump on it, without necessarily thinking like people are going to lowball. Like even Raul was saying, like people are trying to offer him like half of what even his prices were, and he's like, no, like you there's a, you just don't do
There's
that
a fine.
to people.
I mean,
Yeah, he's like, I just delete those messages. I don't even bother to respond to them.
Yeah. So I mean, some figures you can list like your Yondus. I mean, I just listed my Mark II about a month ago. I got it for like $325 with a Sideshow coupon. I listed it for $425 and it was displayed, and someone bought it within 10 minutes. Some figures can sell quickly like that. Others, like you said, Bryan, you've got to kind of cut the price a bit to get people to want to buy the figure. But I mean, I agree 100% with Raul's saying. There's an enjoyment piece to, so it's, if you consider them as entertainment, Hot Toys is entertainment, a hobby. Take, for instance, if you were to golf consistently, which I used to do, going to a golf course here in Atlanta, a good one will ring you $40-$50 for a green fee. So that's a round of golf, 18 holes. You do that 4 times a month, which people do. That's $200, $160, $200 a month. And you don't get any of the money back, not to mention the cost of the clubs can ring you well over $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, depending on what you get. And they don't appreciate. They only depreciate in value. You get the utilization off them. You can kind of treat Hot Toys the same way. The good thing about them, though, is that they do retain their value. At least most of them do, if not 100%, 80%. And then some of them will go higher with time. So you can, you might sell some lower than retail. You might also make some money in others. But like Raul said, there's a cost to enjoy. And if moving your figures around, helps you get another figure, well, it's actually not a bad thing to even take a loss, in my opinion, because you're mitigating the cost of the future figure, which you never know. You might end up keeping for a couple of years or beyond. So
it is a really good way of looking at it, because I sold some figures recently and took a significant hit on them, and I was not totally upset about it, but I was kind of bummed that I, couldn't get top dollar for them. But kind of looking back on it, the guy that I sold them to, he was just so happy that he got the deal that he got, and was just like, you gave me such a good deal. I couldn't even think about, buying these figures for retail and plus shipping and all that stuff. And so it's I'm not saying you got to look at every situation like that, but it is good to, at least you're making somebody else happy that you gave them a deal. And
here's the thing, Chris,
yeah.
You might have lost money on that, but you're also sitting on a Mark IV, a Mark V, a Mark VI.
Yeah.
You're sitting on a Yondu.
Yeah.
You're sitting on several Guardians of the Galaxy figures that have all risen in value.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you don't sell anything, you're in the hole until you actually realize the value of the figure anyway. So if you're going to sell for a loss, you're at least mitigating basically a total loss if you were to just keep the figure and not really appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes total sense, thinking about it that way. And, Gary, he was, we put the thing up there saying screaming deals go quick. And it's that way with all areas of collecting and stuff. And when I did the toy show, a couple months back, Bryan and, I and Raul was there. I mean, I was given screaming deals and stuff was flying off my table, and other vendors are like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on with your tables? Like, people are swarming there, like crazy, and I can't even move anything. It's because I was given screaming deals, and it's money spent, and just, I had my enjoyment with that stuff, and it was time to move on, and I didn't care. I cared to get something for it, but it's just, sometimes you just gotta just let it go and kind of, move on.
Yeah, Izar right now is kind of
Mhm.
reiterating what we were just saying. He's saying, even if I sell a figure at a loss, I always feel like I got his money's worth by owning them for just the time that he had them. These figures are a real piece of art, and he's not
Yeah.
wrong.
Here's the thing, Brian. Sometimes also you don't know if you're gonna like there's no guarantee you're gonna like it when you buy it.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I wanted the Black Panther figures. I've had them for now a couple months. They're not my favorite figures. I was not ever really attached to the movie 100%. Obviously, it's a great movie, but it just wasn't my favorite movie of the bunch. On the flip side, I waited to get Danos for a very long time, thinking I didn't really need it. But then when I got it in hand, it's easily a top 10 figure for me. I would not get rid of the Thanos figure unless I absolutely had to. So it's just sometimes you don't know, and if there's a risk in buying, and you don't really know until it's on your shelf if you're really going to want to keep it long term anyway. Sometimes you do have to take a risk like that.
Yeah, for sure. So just quickly before we get to the feature figure review, I told Zach from Collecting Weekly I'd give him a shout, and so there was some discussion in the group because I had posted something where I had an absurd amount of eBay bucks coming my way in January, like $357. And it's eBay buck program. Like, Zach, I asked him like months ago, I'm like, what is this thing you keep posting about? I've never heard about it. I've used eBay forever. And he's like, okay, well, you need to go in and you need to go to your settings and your profile, and you need to enable them. And then what you'll start seeing is on every listing you go to, I think the default is like 1% back, and it always just say like, okay, if you purchase this, you'll get like, if something's like, $100, you'd get back, $1 or something like that.
Mhm.
So you just look at it and you're like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, and eventually what happens is you get a coupon code basically mailed to you at the end of each quarter, and you can use those as dollars. They call it eBay bucks. Well, anyways, we talked, Chris, about a year ago, like everything was, hey, when's the eBay coupons going to drop? When is the 15% off? I don't know if they ever got as high as like 20, but like that's used to be like what would entice our scavengers to use eBay to say like, okay, well, I'm gonna get this figure. Well, what ended up happening is eBay decided, hey, we're probably losing money on this coupon deal. Let's reward people. It's kind of almost like the frequent buyer program. And what happens is, what I've also figured out in talking to you, Chris, is that it's not an equal opportunity offer. It only is offered to individuals. And what happens is you get an email, and it's usually like in the app, you can get like 10% off. But if you use it on the website, it's like 5% off. And it just makes it really enticing when you're getting 10% back on a figure of something you were going to buy anyways. So a lot of the Rogue One stuff, I timed it exactly when those offers were going. It was one of the reasons why I just secured Endor Luke early, air quotes early, because of that. And it's just, again, ABS, always be scavenging. You keep your options open and being able to do that. So just by getting the figures I would have got anyways, I'm going to be able to get a figure and a half in January that I can use that in my budget and account for that. Hopefully I'll be able to use it to like on somebody like Krennic or somebody like that I haven't already previously pre-ordered. But I think it's just important to, leave no stone unturned. Now, is everybody going to get the same offer as I did? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, this has been an enigma for me. Trying to get these eBay bucks coupons because I get the 1% because I have eBay bucks activated, and I've got the app on my phone, and I never see these. I never get any of these. I think maybe I got a 5% one once or twice, like when it first started, but I haven't gotten any of these 10% ones. I've looked online to search like how do I activate this stuff, and it's basically just saying, have your activate your eBay bucks, and I'm like, yeah, I know Danny Lee and I were chiming in on that post. Yeah, we're stuck at the 1%. We're the 1%ers, but not the good 1%ers.
I get all those deals. I get the ones that Bryan gets. It's very weird. Maybe it's worth contacting eBay.
Yeah,
See?
I mean
Either that, or maybe when you do get one, if you use it, and then they're like, "Oh, you're in the in club now. We're gonna start giving it to you more often." If you just keep getting them and you're not taking them up on it, I maybe that's what's going on. I don't know.
maybe I don't buy enough on eBay. I sell too much.
That could be it. I mean, maybe they.
I mean, it's very likely. I mean,
I
I normally don't. I mean, I was doing so much buying and selling with swapping from Marvel to Star Wars. I mean, I'm basically half and half with my collection now. Or maybe slightly more Star Wars than Marvel now, which seems kind of weird, but I don't know. We'll dig into this a little bit more, but I think everybody, if you're a scavenger, and you are because you're listening to this or watching this right now, go into eBay, make sure you enable eBay Bucks. That's your mission for episode 35 here, and then go from there. The other thing we talk about often, use eBay safe searches. They are going to save you so much time. It's so easy to set it up. You just search for it and you're able to hit the little heart-shaped thing to save it for future things. If you're hunting for something, if you're casually hunting for something, as soon as it's up and for offer, you think it's not immediate, but maybe it's within a few hours. And if something is either just listed or, it's going to be up for auction for several days, jump on it, and then maybe don't even necessarily make an initial bid, just watch it. Yeah, that's one of the big things I've started to do, is just not necessarily see something I want and immediately start bidding it up. It's just watch it. I was also talking to another final thing, and I didn't look up on this enough, and Raul was telling me that there's services out there that you can use. It's called like
sniper thing.
Sniper, like an eBay sniper thing, and it's like a minimal cost that you pay per month. You give them your like eBay login stuff, and you say you copy and paste a listing you're interested in, and you tell them what your max bid is. And what will happen is they'll go with like you can set it so that it will go like 5 seconds before it ends, or 3 seconds before it ends, and it will come in with your best offer. I have competed against so many people using these things. It's so frustrating because I'm like,
about it.
Like you trying to like in the last 5 seconds make another maximum bid, and poof, it's gone. I lost a chirrut that way.
So do they use like a computer system, or do they use like a team of
like
people?
It's like a computer system. It logs in and it just automatically does it on your. It's like a automation or RPA or whatever.
20 people using your login info, trying to snipe for you on your behalf.
Yeah, it's got to be automated.
It's good too for like auctions that end at weird hours, like when you're normally asleep and stuff. But that's a good service if there's a lot of things that you're looking for. And then one last note is use our checklists on the website, the eBay. You already have the figure MMS numbers and stuff plugged in, and you will drop right in and it, if you end up purchasing those figures, it might give us a little bone. But yeah, Bryan's done all the heavy lifting there, and you just got to go to 6scavengers.com, look for the Marvel and Star Wars checklists, even the Asmus Lord of the Rings stuff, and all the eBay searches are right in there for you. So
I'll have to I added Kylo and Rey the other day. I was kind of slacking a couple of days on that, but it looks like we're going to have to add Elrond to the Lord of the Rings one. That looks like a pretty good figure. Now, we don't talk too much about Lord of the Rings. Maybe if that one drops, we'll talk about it next time out.
I'm sure Steve will talk about it on the next Assemble.
Yeah, that he will. All right, guys. Good. We could keep going about. We could just make a whole podcast about us just waxing about that stuff. So I did want to at least briefly, because I know a lot of people are interested. I don't think this has shipped yet. Was our initial take on the Luke Skywalker Endor figure MMS 516. I'm gonna get all the stats called up here, and of course I missed the. What a bad host. I didn't put the price. I didn't put when it went up for pre-order. I didn't put it up when it released. So I'm just going to wing it on this one.
WTH, dude. WTH.
35 episodes in, and I'm completely slacking here.
It costs blah, blah dollars.
Pretty sure the price was $252.
Yeah.
243. 243.
Oh, really?
235.
243.
243. All right.
Because the Deluxe was 267, I think. I think it was
that's like 282.
282. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Don't listen.
Well, we're terrible.
We are like the worst hosts here. But anyways, so it did drop. It is available. It'll be available from Sideshow soon. And, there's a lot to talk about here. It's not necessarily a complete rehash of was it MS 429? Is that TC? You'd probably know that because you have 3 of those shipper boxes now.
Yeah, it's not a rehash.
Yeah. All right. So I did have this in hand. I have unboxed it. Just because it's hard for me to run the control board and then also have the figure in hand. It's actually over in my DTOF to my left over here. I was really looking forward to this, Chris. Actually, all 3 of us are really big Return of the Jedi fans. We're all big Luke Skywalker fans. Initially, I had this figure on pre-order when it was first announced, and then I decided I didn't want it, but then I decided to get it anyways, and I ordered this from Tencent, as I mentioned a little bit ago. Obviously, Return of the Jedi is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. Endor, it's specifically, like you, Chris, is one of my favorite parts of Star Wars. The speeder bikes and all that other stuff. I had to have this figure. And very glad that I did. I will say up front, I might not rank it as high as everybody thinks I would, just because there's some really frustrating things about this figure. First and foremost, the poncho is pretty cool. The Endor poncho, it's a little bit better material than I thought it would be. Elephant in the room, we'll talk about it. It's a face sculpt with, kind of the teeth showing. Depending on the angle and stuff that you have, you don't even really notice it at all. It's not bad at all. I actually feel like the helmet is really good. The one thing that's different about this figure and the deluxe figure from the original release is the padding. And everybody calls it the fat suit. Like I had used the body for that original Return of the Jedi Luke for the Tony Stark nano suit setup that I had. And everybody says it's the bodysuit, but I had that like completely, so I could swap over the Tony Stark. It's just like a white undershirt underneath it. It wasn't like this big bulky thing like he was the Michelin Man or anything. So I never really got that criticism saying that it was too bad. It was there. They did fix it a little bit here. He looks a little bit more slender there. So, overall, I think, the face sculpt and everything is good. Where I have an issue and where I have an issue with the original release is the hands that come with this figure. And I don't know if... so there's only 3 right hand hands that come with this, with the black glove on. You've got a closed fist, you've got a blaster one, and you've got an open-handed one, like using the Force. If you want him to hold the lightsaber, you need to use the lightsaber arm. I spent 15 minutes trying to install it so that I could have him holding his lightsaber. Because obviously, why are you going to get this figure and not hold the lightsaber unless you want to put him on the Sideshow speeder bike? That was infuriating to do because there's no give and take to the sleeve. You kind of just had to shimmy it little bit by little bit by little bit to finally get it in. The other part that I have a huge issue with the figure is the angle that he's holding the lightsaber at is just at this weird angle. And like you can see on the image here, like depending on how you can get it, it might look good, but then you can only twist the arm, the wrist around. And it's just like this weird angle that it, like how they created this image. I tried to recreate this pose that they have here with showing all the display base and everything. I couldn't do it. Like there's the other, like the left arm is too restricted to come across the body that way. I just gave up at some point. I'm not gonna give up entirely because I do want to futz around with the pose a little bit more. But like that's really where I had the biggest issue with this figure, was knowing that you have to use the lightsaber arm unless you're not going to have him with the blade, or I guess I suppose you could have him hold it with his left hand, but I'm pretty sure Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, is right-handed. So there's that. But everything else about the undersuit is good. You still get his tunic that he has on the sail barge. If you wanted to kind of recreate that look, you still could. The Jedi sash there with the belt. So if you wanted to take the poncho off this standard version, you could get that look with the other hair that's different from what it was with the original release. So the base is passable. It's more intended to be the desert base from what the Deluxe would be. And the fact that, if everybody can see on screen here, the fern and then the tree stump are like they kind of like slide on the sides, but it's weird to have the Endor floor, which is essentially kind of like a desert floor with some ferns and a tree. So there's a lot of stuff you can tell that they kind of push this thing together. I think knowing that it's also, and even when you're looking in the booklet, you can tell that it's the booklet for both this and the Deluxe. So the fact that this is kind of like the table scraps of that Deluxe, you don't get as upset about it because you're not thinking this is exclusively, it should be an Endor base and all that. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of rambling. Any questions or thoughts you have about the figure?
No, I mean it's real, real stuff that you're dealing with, which is good insight for people that are have this one on order and stuff, which I do. But it's just interesting that it would be cool if maybe Sideshow did a how to be a poser video with this guy, maybe to show how to recreate some of these scenes, because obviously this image that's on screen right now with Luke holding the lightsaber, that's when he's off the speeder bike and deflecting the blaster bolts from the scout troopers coming at him. So he's got that high up stance with the saber, but yeah, it's just interesting. I do I look forward to having this one in hand, but how are the ankles, the boots and stuff like that?
It's good. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility there. Like I said, everything about like that part of the figure is good. I'm getting infuriating. I'm just looking at the bait. The crate Luke is kind of the same way. Any of the stands that already have the predetermined feet holds, like I feel like that really limits it. And the fact that you have like an uneven base, just give me a regular base that's flat. Like it would be cool to say it's part of like Endor, but like the fact that there are already like footprints on it, it makes it hard to like have the figure like kind of standing flat there.
Yeah, I can see where this release would be a big disappointment for a lot of collectors that don't like to do multiples of one character, because it seems like the best version would be the face sculpt from the original Luke looking forward, with the new body, and then with the original base, and then also including the robe that he wears when he goes into Jabba's palace. Instead, they kind of, they want to give you just the sculpts with the eyes looking to the left, or this new Endor sculpt, I guess, to keep the original one's value. I don't know, to make people feel that when they bought the original, they're not, missing out on everything. And then also the robe. It just seems like to get the perfect Luke, you need two of them. And then that way you can kind of mix and match parts. And I can see how that can rub certain collectors the wrong way. And then also the collectors that did buy the first one that just wanted the updated body without the undersuit, that also can annoy collectors, as well as the gloves. Did he have two gloves on, two black gloves in Return of the Jedi?
No, just the right hand.
He never had two.
Yeah, so the same hand issue showed up with the first release too. Like I actually have him with the closed fist right black glove holding the lightsaber on the left. I actually try to like recreate the scene where he kind of throws his lightsaber across the throne room there. So a couple other questions we're getting. I know Derek's asking, does the non-deluxe come with the version 2 lightsaber? It does not. That's part of the deluxe. I think that's like the prop version. I'm not a lightsaber aficionado. I know Jenkin who was tuning in a little bit ago, pointed that out. I guess you learn something new all the time as a collector. The version 2 looks more like Obi-Wan's. It's not as glossied up, which obviously this was based off of Obi-Wan's original. And one thing I thought, TC, and I know I'd ask you guys like in our private chat, like I actually thought about just using this poncho and stuff, putting it on the first version, and then using the slim down version with head sculpt from the first one, so that I kind of so I'm not wasting a good undersuit for Luke with having the poncho over it. I'm just going to keep it the same. I'm kind of weird about that stuff. I actually kind of changed my tune about even like how I used to sell parts in the past, just because it makes it really hard to sell a figure after the fact. So I don't know if I'm gonna be doing much of that anymore, but I don't know. Like it's like I'm still happy I have this figure. Like it just was a little bit of a disappointment. I think not disappointed in the figure itself, but just disappointed in like that enjoyment that I had because of the frustration I had trying to set it up.
Yeah, and I guess I don't really care that much about the undersuit. I know some people say it makes him look, bigger than what he actually is. It just doesn't bother me. I mean, I look at the stuff right now on the shelf and it looks fine to me. I can't really tell, but I guess I don't have a reference point either. Like I don't have this one in hand. I guess if I did, it might change my opinion.
Well, Mark Hamill was, if you look at him, I mean, he was really thin.
That's true. He is very skinny
in Return of the Jedi, and you can never do a side-by-side picture comparison because it just doesn't. It's hard. You take a picture of a figure next to a real actor. It just doesn't always translate. But I'm not really that crazy of a stickler for that kind of stuff. When it's up on the shelf, usually the figures look fine. It's when you have a picture of the character next to it that it really stands out, the differences and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't, the issues with it aren't going to make me, not get this figure because it's Endor Luke. That's, one of my just favorite versions of Luke, and I can't wait for it. So I don't know. Hopefully,
are you going to get the Deluxe?
No,
Endor.
No, just Endor. The other stuff doesn't really have any. I mean, the deleted scene stuff. It's cool to have that stuff, but it just does nothing for me as far as like nostalgia or anything. Like I said last episode, I literally just watched the Sandstorm scene when Disney Plus came up. I had never watched it before, so but yeah,
we've got Elvis in the house saying he just got Jedi Luke for less than retail. ABS. Let's get that on a t-shirt, guys.
Oh yeah, I know we need to get some more of these t-shirts before Christmas season. So
yeah, well, I know Roy's been super busy. I don't want to make him feel bad.
I know, I'm not. I'm just saying.
I felt like I had to harass him just to get the cover art for this episode done, and he was like, "It was my first day off, and like since like November 8th, I think he said."
Nuts.
So yeah, between school and work, he's a busy guy. We're just happy to have him as part of the team. All right, guys, I think that is going to bring it home here. So, Chris, in your honor, I think we should rank Luke Skywalker Endor MMS 516 on the number of Rebel Commando helmets.
Oh yeah, yep.
I'm not going to rank it on your beard or your hair.
No competition. Beard wins every time. Speaking of 1-to-1 scale prop replicas, I would love to have a Rebel Commando helmet. Anyway, yeah. What are you thinking? Where are you at?
I think I'm going 4 1/4. I really want to do like 4.5, but there's just so many shortcomings with the number of hands, and there's no other options to get a right gloved hand because even the prior release you just didn't really have that option. So
yeah,
hopefully it doesn't steer people away from getting it because it really is an iconic look. I think it's Luke at some of his best. Obviously in Return of the Jedi, it's some of Luke's at his best where he's fully realizing his potential as a Jedi Knight. And I think 4 1/4, I think it's fair.
I think we've got more. I mean, we've got Leia, we've got Wicket. I think there's a few more Endor figures coming down the pipeline, in the next year or two.
I hope Chewie and Han. I mean, I've already kind of decided.
Yeah.
I don't have a Han in my collection now. I think really I'll have a tough decision between Bespin Han and hopefully they make an Endor Han. I think I'd have to go for the Endor version. And I just hopefully they do Chewie better and do him justice because the prior versions are complete garbage. So
yeah, I really hope they make the Endor versions first before the Empire Strikes Back version, but I don't know. We've been teased. The ESP's been teased several times, so I'm expecting that one first.
I know.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the episode here. Obviously, we have our website, sixscalescavengers.com, like Chris notated a little bit ago, with those valuable checklists with links to eBay. That helps us out a little bit. Obviously, you're watching this potentially on YouTube. And as I mentioned at the top, with all the COPPA stuff going on, we think this is for adults only. This is adult collectors. We shouldn't really be impacted. So I guess we'll see. I guess the caveat being, who knows what the future is going to hold, but at the very least, if all that stuff goes south and we have to take the YouTube channel down, there's always going to be the audio version as well. We have our TeePublic store. We mentioned Jason earlier grabbing a t-shirt. We really appreciate that. That helps us out. We have our Facebook page, which you might be streaming through right now, Six Scale Scavengers. Six Scale Scavengers on Instagram. We're out there on Twitter a little bit. I'm still not feeling Twitter all that much. And obviously Apple Podcast.
We get a couple likes every now and then.
Yeah, it's usually you and I, Chris, retweeting our own
exactly.
stuff. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and sixscalescavengers.libsyn.com. If you want to grab that RSS link and feed and throw that into your podcast catcher of choice. All right, guys, episode 35, as we mentioned at the top, Thanksgiving is tomorrow. We're just super thankful for all of our listeners, our viewers, everybody in the community. I'm thankful for both of you guys being part of the team, being friends first and foremost, and then also podcast co-hosts, and extending that to the rest of the team, Steve, Matt, Roy, PJ by extension, and Allison is always helping out, Mila, anybody else. I know we just had Lotus on the last assemble. It's just a great community.
Yeah, thanks to everybody chiming in on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate the interaction. We got trying out some new live streaming formats and stuff like that, and just stay tuned. We're always looking to experiment and that sort of thing. But again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody that celebrates, and till next time, right?
Yep, and just real quick, just want to plug Collecting Weekly Auxiliaries, a Facebook group, Collecting Weekly podcast, Small Talk, and Only Fools and Collecting are the three podcasts that they do. Great group, very interactive with their listeners, and actually right now they've got their figure awards going on, so you should go check out their Facebook group. And I'll just close it with saying bravo to Dean, and you know what I'm talking about. Bravo.
I will. I'll throw out another shout out. We've got another fellow podcaster in the chat right now, CTG, the Collector over at Figheads. Great having you involved in the chat, and great content. Thanks for that. It's great seeing everybody out there in the community that is putting their voices to the microphone and expressing, everything that they're thankful for within the community. So, yeah, good chat, guys.
All right, Chris, bring us home, my friend.
Excelsior.